try hard. Bam. I greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mention both Jesus and Muhammad's name. Peace be upon them both. They were both messengers of truth and reality. And you're looking at the Underground Railroad TV show. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30 and say hi to the people in the United States, Central America, Canada, Africa, Europe, the UK, and I'm leaving out somebody. And Central America. And we're going to be talking about mosques being infiltrated by agents. And I have distinguished guests here today. I sound like this because I'm a little under the weather, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But go ahead, Alderman, always to my right.
Well, I'm Brother Virgil Jones, EO, former alderman of the 15th Ward and Ward Committeeman in the city of Chicago.
Yes, sir.
And I'm also the co-host for the Underground Railroad. And then we have one of the great editorial people that I knew back in the day. And he wrote quite a column in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper.
Middle East Report.
Right, the Middle East Report.
Right.
So he would know about the Middle East. I'll let him introduce himself.
Please tell us something about yourselves, and then we.
My name is Ali Baghdadi.
Okay.
I am a Palestinian born in Jerusalem, and I am a writer and Arab American Muslim activist.
Yes, sir.
And committed to the struggle of oppressed people regardless of their race or color.
Okay.
I publish a newspaper, Arab Journal, for 4 years.
The Arab Journal? Okay.
Yes. Of course, like my brother said, I did write for Muhammad Speaks. After the passing of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I wrote for the Bilalian News, and later on I wrote for the Final Call.
Yes, sir. That's excellent.
Right now I am active on Facebook and other sites.
You're a Facebook friend of mine. So Dr. Lee Warren, thank you for accepting the invitation. You too, Dr. Lee Warren.
Well,
please tell us when you come on and websites and everything.
I'm the founder and executive director of Fleming. That's a Power Latent Man. We have a show that's been on 20 years on the Plem. I think the website is www.plem.2.org, and then www.plem.org. There's two websites, and we come on every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30 on Channel 36, and then the show is reshown from 10:30 to 11:30 Thursday mornings on Channel 36.
Yes, sir. And I want to get off into mosques. Why mosques are being infiltrated by CIA, possibly CIA agents. And this goes against everything that the 88, what's it, ACLU stands for. And this really started happening after 9/11. What's going on? Why are they doing it? Because they have infiltrated these mosques by sending in spies and provocateurs to cause disruption, and they haven't succeeded. Why are they doing this?
The policy of the United States depends on scaring the American people. They have to have something to terrify them. In the past, it was the Soviet Union, communism. Communism collapsed. They looked for an enemy. They debated what kind of enemy they should have. At one time, some people thought we should concentrate on the yellow race, China, and as our enemy. The group that said, no, we should concentrate and make Islam and Muslim as our enemy won the debate.
Wow.
And again, every one of us here, I know, and as a matter of fact, more than 50% of the American people do believe that the 9/11 is a homemade conspiracy.
Yes.
It is the Muslims have nothing to do with it,
Yes.
and bin Laden, whom they blamed to have done it,
Yes.
asserted that he didn't do it, he has nothing to do with it.
Mm.
And bin Laden at one time was their man in Afghanistan. And again, they invented 9/11, the Mossad and the American intelligence,
You see the Mossad? Oh man. Okay.
the Israeli Mossad and the American intelligence. They worked also with the Saudi government as their puppet, as their agent, to carry out a conspiracy that no way in the world that bin Laden, who was hiding in Tora Bora in
Wow.
Afghanistan, can
Wow.
do it.
You get a comment on that, Dr. Lee Warren?
Well, he made it pretty clear. I mean,
Okay.
it's always been the policy of this country ever since World War II that the Iron Mountain report pointed that out, was that they had a decision between war and peace, and they decided that peace, they'd make more war and keep control of the people by war.
Yes.
So the Cold War began fictitiously, and that's ran its course, and then the Muslim thing that they got
Yes, sir.
going with
Yes, sir.
that, but I mean, they've always infiltrated stuff. The Communist Party, the Black Panther Party, just anything. I mean, that's a common policy here
Yes.
with the intelligence work. There's nothing that happens on the American soil
Yes.
that of any state that they don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you're saying, Dr. Warren and Mr. Baghdadi, the COINTEL program never stopped.
No, it never stopped. It just got some more sophisticated because that was just telephones. It was telephones. It was the mail. And then if you went into the library and you pulled out certain books, you could be flagged, like certain books on communism, certain books on terrorism, certain books on, say, building a bomb or guerrilla type thing. When you pull those things, you would automatically, your name would be automatically forwarded to the FBI and put on a list.
So you know what? So there is a war on Islam. They say Sheikh Mohammed, who I got a picture of up there, he had something to do with the 9/11 situation, and they said he was a Muslim. But I got a question. Charles Manson and Timothy McVeigh, why didn't they say they was Christians? I'm talking about when they do things that are notoriously evil. How come they do not say that they're Christians, but they're fast to point out this is a Muslim that did that? Both of y'all.
Again, that the objective of the United States government and Israel, which its ally, is to convince the American people that Islam is a threat.
Mm-hmm.
How could you convince the American people that to spend so many billions of dollars on armament, on weapons that destroy the world so many times if used, unless you scare them and convince them that they need it, instead of building homes for the people
Yes,
of
sir.
the American people, schools, universities, fix roads and bridges. Most of the budget goes on war and death and destruction.
Yes. Yes. Dr. Lee Warren, you want to comment on that? Or?
Well, that was the most decorated Marine in the early 18 and 1900s was Smedley Brother. The world, he said, war is a racket. It's always been a racket, especially here in the United States, and it will continue to be a racket. It's very profitable for certain families, and it will continue until things change, and that usually will probably mean an economic depression or something, or the dollar falls such that they can't finance this thing. I mean, it happened to British. British had a huge empire that they couldn't finance, so it'll be a repeat of that in the next few years. So, I mean, but as far as the infiltration, you got to understand, they're always looking for a boogeyman, and Muslim is a boogeyman that they needed to fear. I mean, you know, when they say that Listen, the Muslims represents less than 3 or 4 million people in the United States. They're not even a threat to nobody. As far as the Middle East, I mean, it's a joke for them to say that the Muslims have any power, even though they got 1 billion people. They have no manufacturing capacity, they have no technology, they have no air force, no army. All the weapons they get from the Russians or the Americans. So how in the hell can they be a threat to anybody? It's such a joke.
Yes.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's crazy.
Let me inform people that this is a live TV show, and we would like for you to come with your, include you in this, and please feel free to call up and turn your television down so there will not be any feedback. Go ahead.
Well, Dr. Warren, there's a man named Dr. Henderson who has 196 nations standing behind him. And he says that these people here have to step down because they've been lying, all right? They've been robbing people all over the planet Earth with natural resources and etc., committing crimes against children. And they don't have any place else to go now.
Yeah, but they have one thing. They have might. There's only 2 powers in the world that can withstand the might of America, and that's Russia and China. And what I mean by that, they trick to show you the power. You see how they uprooted all of the Africans, Northern Africa and the Middle East. Mm-hmm. They tricked Russia to that. They said they wasn't going to go in, and they got Gaddafi. And the only thing that's saving Assad in Syria, when Obama said that he was going to go in there with that so-called gas trick they tried to pull, the message was sent to Obama that you go in there, we're going to nuke your butt. That was said through political channel, that we're going to nuke you. And they pull back. The only thing this country understands is power. And the only reason they haven't invaded North Korea, you know why? They got them damn nukes. Now, they could beat them. Mm-hmm. There's no question they could wipe them out. But I tell you this, they have a bullet nose.
Well, that's the mistake I believe that Gaddafi made when he said, I will relinquish all of my nuclear weapons that I've made. I'm not going to deal with that. So we can be friends.
Like we want to comment on it.
What's your comment about that?
The pressure that was put on Libya was beyond anybody could handle. You cannot enter Libya except going through.
You have to take a ship.
Yes.
You have to take a ship to get there.
The boycott was very tough, very hard.
That's right.
And when you use sanctions against small countries, and so much pressure, and unfortunately, the Arab countries are in the sphere of influence of America. They didn't stand with Libya. Many African countries did. But Gaddafi is very sincere. And, they got rid of him because he was telling the African people, we should not use the dollar.
That's it. That's exactly right.
That was the most important aspect. We should have our own African currency.
That's it.
Yes.
And that's a no-no.
That's
this
right.
is the same thing with Saddam Hussein.
That's right.
They got rid of him because he
He's going to put all the money in the euro.
He stopped using the, yes.
He wanted to use euro.
And the same thing right now with Iran too. This is very important to the United
Right.
States. Of course, there are many other reasons as well. So Gaddafi provided his people with things that no government in the world did. And
That's right.
The
Free
poor people of
education.
Libya, the suffering they have today.
They got free education.
And more than free education.
They got money every year.
Free education.
Free medical
Free medical care.
Right.
And he was turning the desert into being a harvest again for
And he
farming.
had figured out how to bring the water out from the inside of the earth.
Free water, free electricity.
Yeah.
The oil is almost free.
Right.
The food is subsidized.
Right.
If a couple get married, they get $50,000, and you borrow money without any interest
Right.
from the government.
Well,
And if you want to be a farmer, they give you land as much as you
Well, I didn't know.
can handle,
Wow.
That's
and they
right.
give you the machinery, the tractors, the seeds, the fertilizer. He gave the people many things,
I didn't.
and he didn't spoil them.
You know something that both of you gentlemen, they're making more drone attacks during this administration than the Bush administration. Why? Why?
well, I'd like to get them to answer some. It appears that they're making more drone attacks because they wasn't telling you before. Am I correct?
That's
If
correct.
it's wrong to kill innocent people, like September the 11th, it's wrong to make these drone attacks and kill innocent people, isn't it? I'm asking both of y'all.
You see, the drones continue to be developed. And when they became very effective, they became very effective at the time of our brother Barack Obama.
Yes.
And it is better to have the drone do the killing and the American soldiers are not involved, but
right.
because the people of America and the world would not blame the American GIs.
Can't believe nobody is calling in. They must really be listening. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
The drones killed many innocent people in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, Yemen, and many families were wiped out completely by the drones. And the American government says it's okay as long as we fulfill our objectives.
But actually,
You expect to have casualties of civilians.
and actually, people that don't know Saddam Hussein and Bin Laden and all these people, they were CIA operatives. But as the aldermen say, they didn't want to follow orders no more. But go ahead, caller, beat your drums. Go ahead, caller.
Okay, I just want to comment and say that, when you say today, we all Americans. We are responsible for our elected officials because we all vote for them. The policies of our government, they're unfair. You guys talk about collateral damage. It's always going to be collateral damage. I don't think it's a fight just on Islam. I think it's always been, the war machine, the Halliburton, and all these people that make these private self war, they need a target. When
Okay.
factory gets full of bombs and no one to drop them, they're looking around to drop them.
Okay, let's have them respond. Both of them might want to respond to that question. Either one of y'all, could you respond to that, please?
Go ahead, brother.
Well, you have as we said before, I don't know if the caller was here. War is a racket, and they make huge amounts of money. Now, let me say this: the defense budget is almost over $500 billion. That's just the defense part of it. We're talking about 5 or 600 trillion. I mean, 5 or 600. It was 5 or 6 billion. 5 or 600 billion. That's $500 billion. That don't include the defense budget. That's the CIA, NSA, and all of that. That's another 200 or 300 billion, which we're not gonna. So you're dealing with about that. That's almost $1 trillion. And then we got some more mess underneath.
Yeah.
So when you start dealing with the whole defense operation, you're dealing with $1 trillion, and you never will get that stuff pulled back. For instance, let's give you an example.
Black
They,
Ops.
your black ops. You go to Afghanistan. Listen, they couldn't cut back on them troops for the simple reason is this: Obama cuts back on the troops. Listen, GM makes all those SUVs. You got gun magazines. You cut back. You say, wait a minute, you bringing all these troops back home. I said, wait a minute, we're losing money, and then all these people are unemployed.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with a war economy. That's basically what you're dealing with.
Military-industrial complex. Yes, sir. We get another caller. Go ahead and beat the drums, caller. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah,
I would like to make a comment. Do you think it's just an extension of the European colonial system that's been around the world that it done escalated and joined in? If we could understand, there was a picture out of Gage and called the Lord of War. And he was dealing with the big arms, dealing with America as the leading the world power of the world.
Okay. Anyone of y'all want to respond to that?
What is that question exactly?
That Alderman.
What?
Well, he was really saying that
The Europeans.
that they're really the lords of war. And what do you think about that?
Say the Europeans are the reason, one of the reasons for all this that's going on.
I don't agree with that.
Well, what you have is basically this: the last 400 years. You can go back from the 1490s, when the Europeans came out. They came out with always war, with technology that really was way advanced than most people. When they came here with horses, they came here with muskets. The Aztecs in North and South America, they didn't have a chance. So from that point on, they became what you call mercantilism, or they began to use trade. They realized that trade was very important to build up Europe. As a result of this, now here we are. You want to fast forward from that. All the money, all the power, all the technology is always in the West. You get the EU, you get the United States, and you get Canada. Now it's only been in the last 40 years that they decided to build China up. If you go back to the 1960s and 70s, them Chinese was walking. They were, and neither did Russia. But they decided to push all this technology abroad. And what they wanted to do is unify this thing. They want to unify as a one world government. The problem is the Western nations want to control the show. If they got one government, they're going to be the power that controls. And what you got to do, you got a super colonial power. And Russia and China said, no, that ain't going. We ain't going back to colonialism. We are co-equal at this table. And that's the problem. The only reason that you have the problem with the Palestinians and stuff, they feel that they need another strong force there in the Middle East to keep that under control. And mainly it's the oil resources, because he who controls the oil controls what? Controls the world. Remember when first thing in Germany sent their premier general, Rommel in there.
Yes.
And his whole thing was to get control of that oil.
Okay.
And he got defeated.
Okay.
See, so it's always been about the oil, it's always been about resources, and they want to maintain the control of those resources here in the world.
But Doc, I go back to, and I'll let you say
4
this.
minutes left.
Doc, Yeshua, he was fine till he went into the temple and started turning over the money changers' tables.
That's it.
And then that's when they said, we got to kill him, because he's involved in, and Eisenhower said what? Beware of the military industrial complex.
And they didn't listen to it.
No, they
didn't listen to him.
They
No.
went to sleep.
Really, the people of Europe and the people of the United States are lied to. They are brainwashed by
That's
the
right.
media that works for the big corporations.
That's it.
Had they known the truth, I feel that they would done the right thing. Bush took America and France and Britain and many other countries to war against Iraq on a lie that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction.
That's right.
And it was proven to be a lie. He said that Iraq has Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda never existed except after the departure of Saddam Hussein,
right.
after they killed him. America has plans to occupy the Middle East.
That's it.
As a matter of fact, the head of the NATO spoke and said that he went to the Pentagon, and a friend of him handed him a paper
That's right.
of 7 countries that the United States has to attack in the coming few
Overthrow it.
years.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that was Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon,
Algeria.
Somalia, Yemen, and Libya.
Yeah, Libya.
and they fulfilled
All
the first two.
Okay.
And I am sorry to say that our brother Barack Obama is doing, he destroyed Libya, and now he destroyed Syria. Syria is the best Arab country. That's the only country that has sufficient food to feed its people for 5 years. It is the only country that exports wheat and many other things to the world.
Excuse me for interrupting. You know what? This is going to be on YouTube, but I'm going to ask my guests, do y'all have any finishing comments? Because we only got like about 2.5 minutes left.
Really, the American people are in big trouble. The elections, the results of the election shows that. And they have to wake up.
Dumb down. Yeah.
They have to wake up. And
Got 2 minutes. Go.
Well,
No, go ahead.
the people of America are getting poorer every year. And the 1% of the American people control most of the wealth and resources of this country. And every year are getting richer and richer.
Wow.
And the American people are brainwashed. And in the past, when I came to this country in 1960, the father used to take care of the whole family. Now the wife has to work, the kids have to work,
That's
and
right.
they are not able to accomplish the things that the father alone did in the early 60s.
That's right.
And Dr. Lee Warren, and thank you too, both of you. Do you have any finishing comments?
Well, I think he made an excellent example. We are in, as I said before, they will not be able to maintain this type of should I say, world control. America is broke. It's technically they're broke. The state is broke. The cities are broke. So they done figured all their wealth away in war and everything else. So it's time to pay the piper. And as this thing eventually collapses, it will. And it's not a long way. It's not 10 years away. We're right around the corner from a major collapse, another depression, and that will reshape this whole world, especially America, that was spending all the money for defense.
Wow, you know what, Alderman, you got any finishing comments?
well, when the global reset takes place, people will understand. And there is going to be a global reset.
That's correct.
I mean, nobody can say anything different. And when it happens, trust me, they will have to pay for the crimes that they have committed against people all over this world.
As Malcolm said, a matter of chickens coming home to
Well,
roost.
I'm not going to say that. You know, they got Malcolm killed.
Malcolm said that.
I'm not going to say that.
I understand what you're saying. So I want y'all to know this will be on YouTube, and we're going to do a second show talking about the Mideast. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you. Both of
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, boy, it's cold. Talking about